We're live, Mr. Chairman. Are you, sir?
Good night, good night to our viewers and listeners, both at home and abroad. Again, welcome to our Belizean Affairs show number 426. 426. And it's always a pleasure to sit in your company, Mr. Brackett.
The pleasure is also mine.
Uh, we have we're here, give thanks and praise to the Almighty. You
Amen.
know, um, we're um, we're slowly inching on to our 500, 500.
We're almost there.
Almost there, sir. And we should be joined, as usual, by Mr. Gregory Brackett, our next senior panelist.
Yes, sir.
He can come in whenever he gets ready. And also, we is expected to be joined by Mr. Gregory Morrison. We always welcome his presence, right, Leonard?
Well, I didn't get to speak with him today. I
Okay.
I tried, but his phone was busy, so I guess he must have been, and that was work time, so he must have been busy.
Yeah.
But if he
Okay.
can make
But
it, he'll always,
he was
he'll drop
tap
in.
in here.
I sent him the links.
Thank you. As always, we have came a long way, Leonard,
Yes, sir.
and I'm grateful to sit in your presence. Always.
The pleasure is mine. I'm
Uh,
grateful for you. I'm grateful for your chairmanship tonight and all the other chairmanships that you have done before and got us as far as we are.
thank you, Leonard.
We started out this venture as a team, right?
Oh yes, sir. Oh yes. Oh, we sure
Down
did.
turn up, we survived.
We sure did, sir. We sure did.
A lot of
And
ministers changed in portfolio during that time,
yes, sir.
to set up a new.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I'm glad that we are able to sit here, Leonard, and speak truth to power and
Yeah,
advocate for Belizean people and less fortunate, and advocate for the nation.
yes, sir.
We call a spade, and we give credit where it's due, and we denounce injustice whenever we see it.
Yes, sir.
Um, as always, we start our program. I have a very sobering program for us here tonight, because it's things that actually concerning and happening, and things that is going on in the nation of Belize. It's out there, some of it public consumption already, but we here we speak about it, and we talk about the good part and the bad part. And on our show, I'll say this again, we are all entitled to our own opinion.
Yes, sir.
Uh, yes, we we speak as to how we see it, the individual, and we respect each other's view. Always, we respect each other's views.
Amen.
And on that note, we start our program, and always, time is, we try to make much of our time. We
Yes,
jump
sir.
straight into our prayer, Leonard, and I'll ask you to lead us in a prayer, sir. Then I'll do a reading. Are you ready to lead us in a prayer, yeah, Leonard?
I was just trying to
Oh,
keep
okay.
things
Okay.
straight before I forget, no?
Okay, yes, yes.
I'm ready, sir. I'm ready. Um, let me close this off. So save, and that's it. So the
Yes,
other
sir.
people, I was trying to launch the other part of the program so other people can
And
listen on the other platform. No?
yes, sir.
So I'm ready, so I'll just go ahead and bow my head and out for a short prayer.
Thank you, sir.
Divine loving Father, once again we come before Thy presence, asking that Thou would accept our humble expression of gratitude and thankfulness to You for having given us the privilege of life and the opportunity to still be alive among family members, friends, and loved ones. We pray that Thou must bless our family members, our friends, our loved ones. We pray that Thou must bless our country of Belize people and leadership, that Thou will bless this country's people and leadership as well. and that they would bless the rest of humanity with Heavenly Father, especially those people who are in war zones and other tornadoes and other areas where they're suffering, losing their lives and limbs. We pray that them will have mercy upon them as well. We pray that them will bless us on this program, that whatever we have to say and contribute tonight, may it be all to the honor and glory as well as to the well being and safety of our country of Belize. We ask the mercy in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Okay,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you, Leonard. As always, we give thanks and praise for this day, Leonard,
Amen.
because tomorrow is promised to no one. Leonard, I'll read a part from Luke, and it's titled the Parable of the Dishonest Master.
Mm-hmm.
The Parable of the Dishonest Manager. Sorry. And it's chapter 16, 1 to 10. And it reads, He also said to the disciples, There was a rich man who had a manager, and charges were brought to him that this man was wasting his possessions. And he called him and said to him, What is this that I hear about you? Turn in the account of your management, for you can no longer be manager. And the manager said to himself, What shall I do? Since my master is taking the management away from me, I am not strong enough to dig. I am ashamed to beg. I have decided what to do, so that when I am removed from management, people may receive me into their houses. So, summoning his master's debtors one by one, he said to the first, How much do you owe my master? He said, 100 measures of oil. He said to him, Take your bill and sit down quickly and write 50.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said to, to another, And how much do you owe? He said, 100 measures of wheat.
Mm-hmm.
He said to him, Take your bill and write 80. The master commended the dishonest manager for his shrewdness. For the sons of the world are more shrewd in dealing with their own generation. That the son of light. Than the son of light. And I tell you, make friends for yourselves by means of righteous wealth. Sorry, unrighteous wealth, so that when it fails, they may receive you into the eternal dwelling. One who is faithful in the very little, one who is faithful in a very little is also faithful in much.
Mm-hmm.
But one who is dishonest in a very little is also dishonest in much. If then you have not been faithful in the unrighteous wealth, who will entrust you to true riches? And if you have not been faithful in which is another, who will give you what that which is yours own? No servant can serve two masters,
Mm-hmm.
for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and money. That's my reading,
That's a
from
nice
Luke.
reading, Mr. Chairman. Could I say something in regards to what you was reading and contextualize it to our current situation?
Oh, sure. Go
I
ahead,
think,
Leonard. Go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I think that scripture that you just read there could well or quite well be applicable to our current leaders of governance affairs and some of our people in our country today. Because as for some of the people in customs and some of the other people in lands department and some other people in other areas, that's what they're doing. Basically, one word, embezzling. And that's what that manager was doing when he called those employees and asked them, or call the other people and ask them how much they owe, and he's telling them, well, change the number or write down the number, a different number, a lower number. Why? Because apparently he was intending to go back and try and make friends with those people so that now that he's unemployed, that he'll be able to go and shula from those people a little bit of what he was able to left behind for them. And that's what all jackal politicians they do with us. Okay, they go and they give these big multi-billion concessions to these big companies, and then they turn around and harass the public for the money to run the government when they are giving these people free, you know, massive amount of money they're giving to these big corporations. They should be collecting their taxes from those big corporations in order to lighten the burden on the rest of the society. Everybody must pay a fair share, especially if you're wealthy or if you're making it. You shouldn't be displeased to contribute part of what you are making back for the welfare of the country in order to make the same big money that you're making all the while. But you can't be doing that on the back of the poor people who are, being pressured. So the moral of that story, as far as I could see, is that that guy was being, you know, just like we politicians them, and give these companies them the big concession, so they don't pay the tax into the government coffers, but then they can go on the side and always get a little something to support. Okay, and it's unfair, it's unreasonable. Then the prime minister is going to come now and talk craziness about, oh well, he's now taking a little less from the gas than he was taking before. That's not true. He's double talking and conflating and lying because naturally he cannot give back um, the extra cost for the gas right now, especially under the present situation. You know, he has to raise it, and everybody should expect him to raise it. But nobody was expecting him to raise it before the new gas came into existence. That was onerous and stealing from the public. And then not only that, before that, on the previous gas that he was taking in, he was constantly raising the price over and over and over. And every time he raised the price, he doesn't raise it just a little bit to get a little extra. You know, he raised it in such a way that if he had taken a little less than what he took, people would be able to spread their money and be able to help themselves a little better. But the higher he raised the price, the higher the inflation goes, and everybody else along the chain has to raise their prices too to recover what he raised in addition to additional profit. So the public is not being well served. But I yield back, Mr. Chairman. Thank you very much for the
Thank
opportunity.
you. Well, at least you highlight, you know, something very germane to the Belizean public right now because they're taking a licking there, Leonard, with this you know constant rising of fuel, and
And they
so
keep
sad.
re-electing.
Say again.
I said they don't discipline them when they take advantage of us. They go and
Oh,
re-elect them again.
yes,
So they keep
yes,
taking advantage of us.
yes. See, very this whole thing. They have been very conniving to the Belizean public. Very conniving.
Yes,
And
sir.
just keep pressuring the Belizean people. Of the little that they don't have. So sad. Um, well, there's a lot going on. In our nation. Like always says, it's like every day it's like, you know, something new. Something new is um, that when I say something new that caught the eyes of the public and the world, you know, every day in this country. But yet, um, some of the leaders are saying, everything is okay. People are. This is the best they ever lived in 43 years. That came out the mouth of Johnny Briseño. The best that the Belizean people had ever lived in 43 years. That's what that guy had said publicly, right? Um, there's a situation, and we always talk about what's really going on in our jewel, Kikaka have a issue, the island of Kikaka, where there were a proposed site that was given to build a police substation there, and
Yes, sir.
then I could go back to the issue with the marijuana bill that the Musa guy was pushing so hard, along with whoever
Mm-hmm.
is right. We saw how that went out in that island, played out, and as you know, Leonard, that the village council out there are the seemed like the caretaker of that island. You know, um, so for the government to just come capriciously and want to take away that same land that was proposed and sell it, without even consulting the council,
Mr.
you
Chairman,
know.
Mr. Chairman, I think that land was actually donated by somebody for the specific purpose of building a police station. It wasn't like it belonged to the government, but that the government had some option to exercise on that property, as they're not trying to do. But I'll yield back, sir, because we're having a discussion,
No,
like you
it's
said.
it's you know, uh, we are seeing how that is playing out, Leonard. So we'll talk about that.
Yes, sir.
And you know, my people, for a few years now, there is a lot of problem down south concerning land rights, the Mayan land rights, and different groups within the Mayan community. You have the Maya and the Quechua. Maya and Quechua, they coexist. We have seen from time to time, they flare up, and lately, they are taking the government to court in claiming what they said it's theirs, rightful, property. Um, but Leonard, there's a missing alcalde in down south.
They found him, sir.
Yes,
Finally.
sir.
Uh-huh.
Yes. We will talk about that.
Okay.
Um, then we are known to um, having drug playing land in Belize, to a point where they haven't been reporting any lately, Leonard, until now, because the U.S. has actually stick a pin on this one, and all the way through till it landed. And um, even when it landed, um, you have a situation where it's questionable as per the burning of the SUV loaded with petrol. Right? Remember, this is a Belizean vehicle
Mm-hmm.
owned by right and in Belize territory. Um, and we'll talk about that because it's a lot in the news, and we'll talk about the press conference again by Mr. Rosado, the now Commissioner of Police. It reminds me, this press conference reminds me that when he jumped on that one when they had kidnapped Buddha. So, and that narrative was there, and to the end, they stick with that narrative. So they're he already assuming a narrative right now, and let's see how far we'll talk about that.
On behalf of whom? On behalf of whom? Who is it that he's trying to cover
Yes.
up now?
Okay. Okay. Um, you know, you talk about the price of fuel, Leonard, seems to want to go away. Uh, we'll touch that again. And the healthcare situation, Leonard, we have been beating that. And lately, Mr. Fonseca, he's the foreign minister,
Yes, sir.
had uttered something to the effect publicly that they are thinking about. He didn't mention doctors, because the issue is about Cuban doctors. He mentioned that, we are thinking about importing nurses from the Philippines, they're in discussion, and from Nicaragua. That's what that man mentioned. Didn't say doctor, he said nurses, right? But the plight right now in this is about the Cuban doctors, right?
Because they want to penalize their government and use them to penalize their own government. That's what that is about. But
So
then,
he,
quickly, sir,
yeah, go ahead, uh-huh.
why is it that they're going to go and get nurses from the Philippines, which is so far away, as if we can't get anyone from anywhere close enough? And why is it that they're going to go and accept help from the Nicaraguans and they're claiming that the Nicaraguans are Sandinistas and pro-communist? Why are they going to be satisfied with that as an alternative to dealing with the Cubans whom we have been dealing with for many decades? Which one is more communist than the other? I mean, uh, anyhow, we will discuss
So
it.
yes, you will discuss that, and then Leonard,
Doesn't make
a
sense.
new development, Leonard, is the commuters, people who ride the buses, those the poor, and who ride the buses, poor people, right, are complaining about the new system, and
Mr. Chairman, just a few minutes ago, I posted, or not actually posted, I reposted a post that one of my friend had made that is in PG, was waiting for the 4 o'clock bus that didn't show up, so he
yes,
can't
sir,
go home.
yes, sir.
So there's a big issue, I mean,
And does Mr. Zabani care about that? I don't think he give a hoot. He and the CEO that they who produces, and the other henchmen that has this industry in uproar right now. They don't give a hoot. Well, Leonard, let's go to Kikaka, this land situation here. That is developed. It's a developing story, right? Let's hear your take on, because it's public knowledge, and we will speak about how we see it and how we feel about it.
yes, sir.
Go ahead, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. As regard to the Kikaka issue in terms of the land that was donated, from what I understand, by someone for the Kikaka people to have a police station built there for them, because um, it appears that somebody is trying to get slick now and turn around and try to sell that land to some other private developer or entrepreneur for them to do some kind of business there. And they're saying that the Kikaka people could get a piece of land somewhere else, because that particular piece of land is prized location and prime land, no? But if it was donated, that means that the government doesn't have any right to tamper with it. That's a private donation for the people's benefit. In other words, that's a public property. It don't belong to central government or anybody else other than the people of Kikaka. That was donated for the benefit of the people of Kikaka. It's not like the government bought it, own it, and have some control over it on behalf of the people. No, it's the city of not the city. It's the island of Kikaka municipality that has the right and control over that piece of property in trust on behalf of the people of Kikaka. Now, of course, they were not the ones going to build the police station. That would have been built by the government. But why I brought it up and explain it like that is to say, what right does anyone else in the government circles have to go and cut that piece of land from underneath the Kikaka people and try to sell it to somebody else, you know, as if they had right to do that? They did not even consult with the people of Kikaka. They just went about trying to do their own thing, and then whatever happens happens. Every time we have these people get into office, they all follow the same track record, only that they try to do a little bit worse than the previous one. They come into office, they take possession of the government properties. They try to privatize it to themselves or to their cronies or whoever. Dispossess the, the jurisdiction of their local assets, fatten up themselves, and then move on. And the other group comes in and does the same. Only that they learn from the previous ones and they come and do a little worse when they come in. You know, and it's a cycle. From Independence Day till today. Okay, they all do worse than the ones that were in there before them, and they feel like they are entitled to doing that because they're not going to take themselves to jail. They're not going to arrest themselves. They're not going to prosecute themselves. And if they are found guilty, they are not going to pay for the damage. It's still going to come out of public pocket. So I believe that some of these people should be sued on a personal basis and not be afforded the privilege to hide behind the powers of governance and or to be exculpated from their criminal activities. They commit a crime, just like how they could commit a crime, they should be able to do the time. I'm looking forward to someday, somehow, that some of them will be prosecuted and that the courts will be able to find them guilty of a personal offense on a personal level so that the government itself doesn't have to go again and pay people, private people, for the wrongs that these government officials do because they're not supposed to be doing. You know what's right and what's wrong. I yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you for
You're welcome, sir.
your input on that situation out in Kikako. Um, not too long ago, Leonard, they had a village council election out there, um, where the slate was comprised of independent. They weren't PUP and UDP, right? They were uh, just regular Belizeans. They put their name and they thought that they could have done a better job than the PUP and the UDP slate.
Good.
And the people subscribed to that and vote them in to run the affairs of Kikaka. That didn't sit well with the present administration. It didn't sit well, as you and I know how these people operate.
I
Right
wish it.
after that, Leonard, they went and they uh, hung strong and bamboozled the people about the marijuana bill.
Mm-hmm.
We saw how that played out. Publicly, they mentioned who are the people that will be able to sell this marijuana on the island,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what they wanted to do, minister,
Legitimize the industry.
yes, Mr. Karim Musa
Mm-hmm.
from what's his one, Caribbean Shores or where
Yes,
or
sir.
Port.
And who was the minister responsible for that portfolio? For drug interdiction and counter
Uh,
narcotics and all these things.
okay, okay, see, okay.
Don't make sense, man. It just don't make sense.
So okay, that's a sequence of events. You see what happened there, and you see the extent he went. And well, he even mentioned that that the taxpayers will not even have to foot the bill,
Mm-hmm.
because there's other interest group that will pay the bills,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, nobody investigate that man and find out who was those other people that was so inchy to get this marijuana, a drug that is you know
It's a
is
gate.
prohibited against it's unlawful
They
from the
call it
time immemorial.
they call it a gateway, Mr. Chairman.
Right?
A gateway drug.
So, and not to mention, he was the minister of police. He was the minister
Mm-hmm.
of police, right? That should be policing drugs and illegal activities. But anyway, we saw how that referendum went out, played out,
Mm-hmm.
and now this police station is not the. It just didn't happen a couple of days ago. No, this was proposed. It's something that was proposed to have done. No, so it just didn't happen now, and the people of Tikaka wasn't just now looking forward to that substation. No, they've been looking forward for a little time now, right? And then you have this Prime Minister, Mr. Johnny Briceño, said publicly, well, we are not into um, business, people's business, right?
Private business.
Private business, right? He said that. So you mentioned, Leonard, it is assumed that that plot of land was donated by a private individual
Mm-hmm.
for a public
For,
purpose, right? But you see how these people operate. So I wonder, Leonard, if is it that they want to discredit the council in that because an election is coming up.
mm-hmm.
I think they are doing more harm to themselves, right, in behaving in that manner. And the council out there is not a PUP council, and the people gave them that mandate. So if they're thinking that they are going to penalize this council and they will get head, I don't think that will work, right? That's a no-brainer, right? So I say, why are they doing it? Why? That is my only logic. This is my only Rudy Wade only explanation on that, right?
Vindictive and malicious, sir. That's all.
Don't don't
Since
say it.
people can't support them because they're of a different color.
Don't say it, Leonard. That's we know these people for who they are, right? Right, and we could utter it because we know that's the way they operate, and we could call instances if they choose to want to know why we say these things. They are very vindictive. The UDP is the same thing, but this People's United Party is the master on that. Right? They are very, very, very vindictive. Right? I've been through it. Right? And not to mention, I was one of them. Right? I was. Yeah, my word was. Right? What I'm saying is that, I could say it because I know that they are very vindictive. Right? And so I say that it's all political. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And want to pressure this council, Leonard, right? So to close that out, Leonard, I applaud the the residents of Kikaka, Leonard, for standing
Standing
up, right? I applaud them, and I wish other communities
will do the same.
would do the same, because there are several instances where you see plain vindictiveness, right, to
Could, could I add
other
a,
places.
could I add a little comment to what you're
So
saying
sure,
there?
go ahead, go
Brother?
ahead.
Um, and that is the way that people will get change. I mean, Kikaka had change, right? They were willing to discipline these people because of their shortcomings before, over and over and over. So they took the bull by the horn and decided to take charge of their own business. And like you said, you wish, and I wish, and many others probably wish that other um, jurisdictions would do the same in order to discipline these politicians and let them realize that unless they do what they promise to do, or unless they do good for the people aren't going to tolerate their nonsense and keep voting them back into office. And while they're neglecting people, they're ripping off the country. You know. But unfortunately, we haven't gotten there yet, and we probably have to follow the footsteps of Kikaka and some other smaller community. I yield back, sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you. But these are things that are playing out, Leonard, in real time in the country, and it's like, wow, who are these people up in arms with? Their very own people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Their very own people. If I was the government, I would gladly right away build that police substation, which is badly needed, right? That will help curb crime. That will help, serve the people of the island, right? So in terms of what they're doing, when it is so uncalled for, and I want to welcome our next senior panelist, Mr. Gregory Brackett. Welcome, sir.
Good
Good
night,
night.
Mr. Chairman. Good night, my good cousin.
Good night,
Good night
Greg.
to you, the people at home and abroad. Thanking you for tuning in to this our 426th edition of Belizean Affairs. Gentlemen, I know you were having a great discussion, and I intend to join you to see if we can bring some clarity to certain things. Well, I want to say this, Mr. Chairman. Exactly what we spoke about on Friday is happening. Not on Friday, on Monday is happening.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly what we had spoken about happening as we speak. But I go back to you to finish your thoughts, sir.
Um, Greg, we were on the issue here of the
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 substation.
events playing out in Kikaka. But before I go to the alcalde situation, the down south, the kidnapping, and it's a subject that we need to discuss, because we will tie other things into what's really going on in the country. But Greg, you want to shed some light on what's going on your in your own words, and if you want to cue anything up, go ahead about what's going on, because it's public knowledge out in Kikaka where we are at with that discussion.
Mr. Chairman, on Monday night we had a discussion about pharmaceutical prescription. And I input there that the government is lacking because they are not ambulances, they are not fire trucks that are essential services.
Mm-hmm.
And just recently, the government passed a bloated budget that did not include the fire department that is an essential service.
Mm-hmm.
Now imagine that. Let's go to the tape, Mr. Chairman.
We don't have the funds to do it as yet. We have the land that has been set aside right next to in the area of the Leonard Hall building. We're looking for funding. I'm hoping that we'll be able to partner with our U.S. Embassy, with the U.S. Embassy in Belize, to be able to get that fire station built. The National Fire Headquarters is an important part of making sure that our National Fire Service has the resources, has the home, really. They need a home for their training, for their mechanical unit, etc., to be able to work on the fire trucks and so on. So it is an important part of Plan Belize, and we are going to get it done. But no, it's not in this particular budget. And believe me, when we do get the funding and we know we're going to build it, you guys are going to be the first to know that.
Now, Mr. Chairman, the people and citizens of Belize is paying tax for these essential service that should not be left out of a budget. That is a constitutional breach from the government, which should protect its citizens.
The
And
reduction of
when that
duty.
is lacking, something is totally wrong because now if we had a budget at 1.9 billion. The government will come back with supplementary and it will balloon over 1.9 billion. We will end up with a budget of nearly $3 billion before the year is over. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
You're so right on that, Greg. That's similar like an essential service as to the police, right? Like they why are these people behaving in this manner to do what is right that will benefit the people and things that the people need. We could see how they waste. They keep
Millions and hundreds of
wasting millions and millions of dollars. Wasting. They have no problem. I buy a $90,000 vehicle or 100 and a three. Oh, not to mention the 3 point something $1 million oil rig. I mean, rig for water that went through Mr. Ricania. And look at that piece of metal that cost the Belizean people 3 point something $1 million, right? So
and,
where are these people
Chairman,
priority, Leonard? I go to you.
and Mr. Chairman, and what about the $3.5 million that was forgiven, that was supposed to have been paid back to Social Security according to the judge, but they write it off for one of their cronies, for the unelected one's father, as a matter of fact. And the unelected one is getting tens of millions of dollars from
Amen.
Mr. Ashcroft out of the hundreds of millions that he get from us.
Amen.
And he can't pay back
Amen.
on behalf of his own father 3.5 million. That's how greedy and selfish these people are. Or, for example, going back to the almost 7 million, 6 point something $1 million that they paid for the piece of uh, what do they call it, toilet hole.
Yes. Yes.
They had another phrase for it.
Yes.
The Swedish pond, basically, in Belmopan. How much could that $7 million have done? You know, and the money is disappeared, and there's nothing to be shown for it. And they were in such a rush to get that money paid out just before the last election. And so many others. I mean, you know, as of right now, they're talking about. Well, I don't want to get into the court right now because I don't want to segue. It's a big subject, but we need to get on it. But I don't want to. But I'll just yield back, Mr. Chairman. I just want us to add some additional thing on top of what you were
But
saying. Oh,
you're right, then.
uh,
And Greg, thank you for from this own from comes from these guys' own mouth, right? And we point out where they can get this money. If they can find the money for things that the taxpayers and the public has nothing to do with, like for instance paying Ashcroft so many billions of dollars, right? Which the public Belizean taxpayers
we
have
need
nothing to get back from that,
and we need the money.
right? But something like the fire department, Greg and Leonard, that service the people, ambulances that service the people,
Mm-hmm.
police station that service the people,
Mm-hmm.
they having a hard time. Look at the X-ray, the CT scan machine. Look all the houses that bill passed through that $90,000 to buy. Just I think it was just 90,000.
90 million for the
Sorry, for the
the,
X-ray
the
CT
fifth.
scan machine.
Oh, no.
No, I'm talking about the CT scan machine. I thought things that service the people.
Mm-hmm.
They cannot say, well, like the same way they give Ashcroft 76 million that one day, right? Just give it to him, right?
Yep.
They can't say, well, like the same. Why don't they say the same thing to these essential service there, Greg? Huh? Why? Back to you.
Mr. Chairman, it goes beyond that. I will tell you why. The lot where the fire station was on Kagan Street was sold to Atlantic Bank for $2.8 million. So why was that not put into what it was sold for?
Where is the money?
Because they said they would have rebuilt a fire station behind the complex area. And
But
I
where
will
is the money?
show the banner.
They got the money for the
The
bank. I
old
know.
fire station lot on Kragan Street, north side Belize City, was sold to Atlantic Bank for approximately 2.8 million Belize dollars. And it was completed in 2020. The rest of the funds was completed in 2020. Not my words, show and tell right here on Belizean Affairs. So
Before
how is it
Greg,
that
before you go
they
to it,
are lacking funds to do what they need to do?
before you show it, Greg, um, the one that the tape that you just showed earlier with the gentleman saying that the Belizean people and the newspaper people will be the first one to be notified when they get the money. So in other words, they don't have the money right now. They don't know where it will come from and when they'll get it, but they'll tell us when they get it. In the meantime, let Belize burn. As far as that's the only conclusion you could get out of what he's saying. The equipments are needed, the services is essential, but they can't go to the house and get a supplemental, even though it's not in the present budget. It should have been in the present budget, and they're still supposed to be able to go to the house and ask for additional funds, as they are constantly doing almost every month. It's mismanagement. That's what it's all about. Sorry, sir. I'll go back to you, Mr.
And another thing that we need
Greg,
to,
Greg, it looked like Greg was about to play something when I was asking him just now.
yeah,
Um,
No, I was not about to play
sorry, sorry,
anything.
then,
I was
sorry.
listening to your comment.
Yes, sir,
and,
I'm sorry.
and another thing before I go to you, Greg. I want to ask Mr. Henry Charles Usher. I don't know how old that guy, right? I don't know, right? But I think I double his age. What I'm saying is that I could ask him how many fire trucks did the government of Belize have ever, I use the word ever, bought? How many ambulance does the government of Belize, past and present, have ever bought? Right? And another thing, I'll shift to another department. How many vehicles,
Hmm.
supplies, does the government of Belize have ever bought for the security forces? Had ever bought? How much they had spent? I
Or
would like to ask
for
him
engine
that.
equipment, or for fire engine equipment.
Back to you, Greg. I go to you. Right? That's my message that I have for him. Right? Let him figure it out.
Mr. Chairman and people at home and abroad, we have been sitting on this show for a very long time, and everything that we have discussed here on 98, I can even go to 0.9% is happening as we speak. You recall trying to get away from repatriation that was used to implement the PCC Act, and we had a healthy conversation about that and what the government was doing. Well, tonight I want to show the negative feedback of what the outcome will be because of that.
Well, you have said that you want to block visas for nations that ask for slavery reparations.
Yeah.
You're basically saying you won't give visas then to huge swathes of the Caribbean and Africa. Let's just list the countries that have asked for slavery reparations: Barbados, Jamaica, Guyana, Antigua, Barbuda, Bahamas, Belize, Grenada, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Trinidad, Tobago, Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya. The list goes on. You think that's a feasible and operative plan?
If they
that won't
continue
be
to make,
thwarted by lawfare.
If they can make, well, being thwarted by lawfare. Here's another thing people really need to understand. And I think people watching GB News do understand this. His Majesty's Parliament is sovereign. This notion that, a minister will sit there and a prime minister will sit there and just get overruled by courts. If we pass primary legislation to ensure those things happen, it will happen. You can mark my words on that. And do we again, it
so
was,
you're quite
you look
happy
at the last 20 years,
people coming from the Caribbean or Africa, say, for instance, if they have relatives here, you're going to say you just can't come because your country, even if you don't personally support it, supports slavery reparations?
I think you're making the exact argument about why their outrageous demands that people watching this programme should pay them reparations.
Outrageous to demand slavery reparations, but people might equally think that it might be using a sledgehammer.
Well, then, if it's outrageous, it's about time Britain. Do you not agree, Camilla? It's about time Britain grew a backbone. And what we're saying is, if Nigel Farage is our prime minister, we're not going to allow Britain to be slapped around on the world stage. By the way, number one, Keir Starmer abstained outrageously in the UN vote about this matter. Number two, over the last 20 years, and again, the Tories are in power for the majority of that, those countries you just listed who are demanding reparations, we granted those countries millions of visas and issued them £6 billion, with a B in foreign aid. We've had enough of British people being taken advantage of.
Some of the people that come from the Caribbean and Africa have made their lives here and are paying taxes and are embracing British values, aren't they?
In which case, they are almost certainly British citizens.
So there you go, gentlemen. And you heard what the men said, that they have given away over $6 billion to these countries. We never heard about what believes that. So what's the real deal here?
Mr. Chairman, can I respond to Greg's?
Okay, thank you there, Greg. Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you. Greg, what that gentleman is talking about when he said they have given so much billions of dollars to these Caribbean countries and others may be true. If you look at it from the perspective that he apparently is trying to look at it, that is that they have given us aid, they have given us help, they have given us a lot of things, but they have taken away more than they have given over the hundreds of years. It is the riches that they took from those other countries that have them surviving and living the lifestyle that they are currently enjoying. And all that is being asked of them is to give back a little bit or to help out a little bit more than they have because of what they did. They not only took the resources from those countries, they enslaved some of those countries. That is what the reparation issue is all about. How they got a leg up on those who were left behind, while telling those who were left behind, pull up yourself from your own bootstraps. Now, I don't know if those people don't understand what physics is. Because in order for somebody to pull up themselves from their own bootstraps, it requires for them to have a pulley. Of course, I hope everybody understands what a pulley is. A pulley is a circular device that you put a rope over, and they could take that rope and tie it to their boots, grab the other end of the rope over the pulley, and then they can achieve that objective of pulling up themselves from their own bootstraps. Tie the strap to one end of the rope and pull on the other end of the rope, and you raise yourself up because of the advances of the pulley. They had the pulleys given to them by virtue of sacking those people to their country and leaving them in dire poverty with no help. After enslavement, as a matter of fact. Then they will come with a crap talking about pull up yourself from your bootstrap. Well, they turn around now with the modern version of that same idea and say, well, it is their parents or grandparents that did those slavery and committed those crimes in order to facilitate them to live the life that they are now currently live. They don't understand that they got help by suppressing us, and we now need some from them. This is a matter of being civil, in a society, helping each other, looking out for each other. You don't benefit out of all the crimes that you committed or your fathers committed. The least you can do is be a little generous towards those people who are in a dire strait or a dire situation. We're not saying that they need to be recompensed or they need to be returned all their material wealth that was extracted from them. Just some good faith. But this gentleman on the tape just now doesn't even want to concede the fact that he is expressing himself in regards to those people who are left behind, and to hell with them. You know, that's his attitude.
Thank you. Um, you know, well, there was a plane that land. Leonard, there's a plane that land, and with so much drugs,
Mr. Chairman,
and
Mr. Chairman, before you change, I want to show my good cousin and the people at home, and I brought something.
okay.
Because what that gentleman was speaking about is actually happening right here in Belize, in high society job department. It is a regular hard-working folks who paved the way for these big corporations, and return they are snuffed out without being awarded for the good they have done. We are seeing it happening with detail. We are seeing it happening with detail. And if certain things are not disclosed, that they refuse to disclose, if it is not sneak out, Belizean people would not know that these things are happening, Mr. Chairman.
Mm-hmm.
And I really need to go to the state
Go
to
ahead.
show what they do to Belizean people that has put forth so much time into corporations.
We've reached out to Belize Electricity Limited for answers after obtaining documents that show senior executives received lucrative exit packages, including severance, when they left the company. Those documents detail payouts to Vice President of Customer Care and Operations Felix Morin in November 2007, Vice President of Engineering and Energy Supply Joseph Sutnandan in June 2011, and Senior Manager for System Planning and Engineering Rolando Santos in September 2015. We are now waiting for BEL's response on how those payments square with claims that other workers were denied severance. For many workers, this revelation cuts deep. It comes as sick and elderly former employees march under the scorching sun demanding severance they believe they're owed and saying their long-held suspicions were right. They argue company policies haven't been applied evenly, and this latest disclosure only adds insult to injury.
But we know they pay themselves.
So there you see, Mr. Chairman, and it will not be only them. It has been happening
all around.
All around.
Mm-hmm.
And when you go for disclosure in the form of FOIA, they do not want to present you with information, as you saw Mr. Enriquez try to do.
And they are obligated to provide the information. Under FOIA, they are obligated. It's mandated. It's by law. So they are breaking the law.
They're not doing it.
That's why I say I wish somehow some of them would end up getting sued personally and stop being given exculpation and allowing them to hide behind their position, and we the people still pick up the tab even when they're convicted. I want some of them to go to jail. Some of them need to be made examples of.
So sad. So sad to see the extent the system goes to just wring the little man, wring them out dry.
Mm-hmm.
Right? While they get all the fat and all the bacon and all the goodies. While the John public there is, thrown out. Suffers.
Mr. Chairman, you said about bacon just now.
See.
But not some of them be turned into bacons?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
They're
right, and
so fat and chubby. I mean, they eat so lavishly off anyhow.
And you so rightfully, Greg and Leonard, you see what these big corporation does. You see what they do with the help of the government.
Mm-hmm.
The government, which should be there, Greg, and then to protect the little ones. But are they doing that? It's plain, blatantly to see that they are not. They are just continuing the whole way. Just sit there and get rich off the backs of the taxpayers and the Belizean people and the Belizeans' assets. That's what they do. Get rich off the Belizeans' back, the taxpayers' back, the country's assets. That's what the people elect them to do.
And they support each other, Mr. Chairman. They support each other. Look out for each other. And when you go and tell them what's going on or give them information, they complain that the reporters them are talking about these things and putting the government under pressure. Instead of the government go ahead and do this investigation independently, find out whether these things are true or not, and come down with the hammer. But anyhow,
sad, man. So sad.
It's crazy,
and
man.
And yet, Greg and Leonard, our people's eyes, most of them is still closed. It's still closed. They haven't opened their eyes. Right? They just keep getting kicked in their rear. 24/7, past and present. Slave masters does it to them. And the slave masters for me is the PUP and the UDP when they are in power. Right? They continue to do it to them over and over again.
But they're blaming, Mr. Chairman, they're blaming the farmer colonizers. Them. They say,
yes,
because of colonialism, why we're getting treated like that. They're not saying by them, you know. They want us to believe that it's the colonial system that's still reigning or lording over us.
And sadly, guys, you know, there are some amongst us. There are many amongst us who facilitate them. When the UDP comes in power, they come with their own criminals, their own henchmen, and they put them in different departments to cover their asses when they get in trouble. Right? The same thing with the PUP. When they come, they wipe out what the UDP bring and set their own little idols there, their own little slave masters that they little puppets. They pull the string here and pull it, and they jump. They jump to hell up yonder, right? For them. Right? Some of them would say, well, I would die for PUP, you know. I die for UDP, you know. Some of them says that. Right? So sad. So I says that what is happening to the nation, you know, is partly facilitated by the people. Facilitated. Whatever these jackals are doing to us, it's facilitated by the public out there. And then they end up crying like, I should not do this. I'm sure they already did it. They come back again and beg their mercy. The stand PUP will mercy them, will have mercy on them. Oh, I'll give you another chance, man. Go sit down here again. Do it to me again. You know, because I see no other color. Right? See, why I say that, right? You see how this commissioner of police is behaving? Right? We saw how that Budna scenario played out from the time of inception until today. We saw how it had played out and continue to play out by the security forces and by the government. Security forces and the government. Now, lately there was a drug plane land. Lot of biggest catch ever, right? You see how that is already playing out? Publicly, they are displaying the two Mexican pilots. And initially, there were two Belizean, you know, but they was sent home, set free. And after that, there was the SUV that was ready, had fuel in it to refuel the plane. What they did with that vehicle? The vehicle is in licensed in Belize, in Belize soil, And what they did with that vehicle, they scorched that vehicle, right? And you hear a different scenario now, how that had played out, right? So I say, where is the two Belizeans? Who are they? Who are these two Belizeans that they had let go? And who is the owner of that vehicle? Who that vehicle is licensed to? And has a proper and thorough investigation, so that who these people are in this country that is facilitating such a criminal activity, right? Let us know. Why are you so afraid to say, if it's a minister, call his name? If the truck belongs to, the vehicle belongs to a minister, call his name. If it belongs to a custom man, call his name or her name. Right? Why the secrecy now? Why the scenario is played out now that, that's a funny situation now. We got to, but there is some evidence now that we will work on that, and because the public, any fool, or Leonard and any fool could know that, the vehicle didn't drive there by itself. The vehicle didn't go and register itself. Budna wasn't abducted by aliens, by ghosts. So I say, is it the same scenario? Was the ghost, a ghost drove that vehicle there loaded with fuel and awaiting to refill? Ghost! But you hear the words from the commissioner, right? Go ahead, Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't know how many Belizeans, or as a matter of fact, let me go way up to the top. I don't know if the Commissioner of Police is aware that Budna affair and this same last issue with this last drug plane, as well as many others, will appear in the annual report of Belize's criminal conduct or the behavior of the Belize government and its mechanisms or operatives. Every year we have one of those reports being published. And I can guarantee you, just as we are talking about this particular issue right now, it is going to be part of that report for this year. If I don't live through the rest of the year, I could remember to realize that I told you so ahead of time, because that's just how the process works and how these systems operate and how these reports are being gathered and how these reports are put together. And at the end of the time when the report come out and they slam my butt, in fact, before the report come out, they done the slam my butt. Okay? The CEO of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has been put under discipline to the point where the Prime Minister is now rushing around to try and figure out how you can find a way to make that young lady still have a job. Minister Mai was, basically for all intents and purposes, demoted, taking his ministerial portfolio away under duress, when the Prime Minister could have protected him because he was the Prime Minister's best friend and best and closest political ally. But the Prime Minister couldn't protect him because the Prime Minister was put under discipline and shown enough information for him to realize that something had to be done. There's a lot of stuff going on in our country that's beyond even the control of our government. But yet our government going to be so barefaced and so onerous that they're going to have people in the country getting involved in issues that they're not supposed to be involved with, and we're supposed to cover up from them. When those issues are far outside of we pay grade, there's nobody in our country that has the pay grade legitimately as a member of we government. to make proper decisions on those issues and or to stop our country from getting hauled and pulled or victimized. But it's a long story.
Greg?
I'll just
Thank
leave it
you,
at
Leonard.
that.
Greg, go ahead, Greg.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to first address your formal comment about the people who is not paying attention to what is happening. I want to say this, right? When the NTUCB was demonstrating and blocking the road and all that, to try to get the people to get involved to hold the government accountable, there were major complaints coming from employees, how they are upsetting them from not getting to work and all that. But you know what? When you do not lend a hand or assist or partake in what is happening, it comes back to bite you. And it comes back to bite you really hard. Now, I will go to the tape. The cost of gas that the same government has preached loudly about against the past government about it's too high. Right now in Guatemala, subsidies are being handed out so the people can survive. They have their fuel down at 5 and 8 in comparison to Belize. But this is what will happen this coming week, and I want to hear the people who they will blame. Because when the NTUCB was demonstrating to put a check in government, the people blame them.
Those are videos sent by some of the personnel from the company because they are still saying that they are not being paid their severance, they are not being paid their vacation pay, they are not being paid time of service. So there's no, as what we have understood, that there's no mechanic in any district working. So hence the reason why they have to outsource their servicing of equipment. And what they're saying that those are the buses that were purchased. And hence the reason why runs are being cut on a daily basis. Accident is being happening because workers' morale is at a high, all-time low. Some of the workers say, well, the way the NBC management and the minister speak that everything would have been golden, but quite the contrary, right? So
and so are those buses that need to be fixed?
Of course. And that's just what was shared by the members that shared to me. And I know these buses were running. I don't know what happened, but it just goes to show this is not an easy industry. And you need people, technical people that knows the intricacy of the day-to-day operation. It's a very challenging one. Many people would say, well, why do you still stay in the business, or why the operators never do something else? Majority of the operators, they are farmers that are in the industry. And many of them, if not all, hold on to say, okay, then a Messiah is coming to save the industry and save us, and things will get better. But they feel quite the contrary.
So there you go, gentlemen. And what is...
I told you so.
What is going to follow this? Come Monday, DBA is going on strike. So all who works in the district and Belmopan, what will happen?
Only get the job.
It will not be the teachers demonstrating. So who will the blame be pointing on? No, to the burning of the SUV, Mr. Chairman.
Greg, before you change over, quickly, one comment, one short one. Did I not say that the whole effort of making the bus come companies then into a national bus company was to have it fail so that they can turn around and say, well, government can't sponsor it, can't finance it, can't keep it together. The people they know they work, cooperate to make it work, the thing work out the way they were promising to the people. Therefore, let's turn around and privatize it fully, get the government out of it altogether. And that's what it's destined for, like many other things that I've said before. It's all about what's making a little money and how they can get their fingers in there and take it over privately.
Thank you.
Are you, Mr. Chairman?
Thank you. Go ahead, Greg.
You're perfectly right, Mr. Brackett, because we had this discussion and we know that is how it works.
Yes.
Private investors will step in. They have the lucrative contract, and even if the government change, they keep getting paid.
That's it.
But to show you the double standard, you have pointed out the kidnapping of Woodman. I want to show you double standard coming from the government. And I will say the Prime Minister, a drug plane landed. And yes, they intercepted it. But drugs is something passing through this country to millions, maybe billions of dollars.
Mm-hmm.
And it should have priority when it comes to protecting our people and our territory from that. Especially when a government will go to Parliament and take $1 million to help defend against cartels with drugs.
That is a sham.
In the northern border.
Remember that, right?
It was a sham.
But what beats me more than that, I want you to listen to the case and hear what the Prime Minister had to say. And some fuel from a boat.
When it was brought to my attention, I said we have to go after this and to go the full length of the law. I called the Attorney General. I said, I want you to get involved with this because I'm not going to have allow that because of a simple administrative error or, that an attorney can get them off. So when I heard that all of a sudden the DOE jumped the gun and sent them and got an invoice, I don't know how they got an invoice when customs did not get it. And saying, come, we'll settle this administratively, they were totally out of their remit. That was not within their purview to be able to do that. Maybe in other matters, they probably could have done that. And so what I've said, again, instructed the Attorney General to ensure that an attorney from his office to be fully involved in this, to ensure that, that we can get to the bottom of this, 2, confiscate this, and then 3, whosoever is in any way available, involved in this, and did any illegal activity, that they must be charged to the fullest extent of the law.
Why is this same energy not on the SUV that was burned with jet fuel, which is bringing much more valuable cargo named drugs than that boat? He wants to go to full extent of the law for that boat and its fuel, but he's not doing this for that SUV that should have been held for evidence and fully checked, and information should have been published as to who all is involved. There is none of that. Then it brings me back to say, Mr. Chairman, and people at home and abroad.
Selective enforcement, Mr. Brackett.
Not to forget the tankers that came into Belize with gas over southern border that custom took over, and they finally end up getting a permit to bring in this illegal fuel.
They were rewarded with a permit for the
So
contraband.
you see what I'm speaking about?
Oh man.
Double standard for different people and different scenario.
There you go.
And that is in violation of our democracy and what our constitution stands for. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Greg. I always says that whenever you push a button on you, that man appears on the button you push, right? And speaking. Whenever that man speak, nothing. That man even have a problem of saying what he want to say. He got to search for words, right? And nothing makes sense. Because I'm a stupid person, right? And it doesn't make sense to me. So if it doesn't make sense to a stupid person, it makes sense to a well liared up, educated person. What I'm saying is that guy, he had to be ashamed of himself, right? Saying the things he's saying. He this and he that, and he don't know how the DOE, he run these department, right? They answer to him. So what the hell he talking about, right? And talk about a report, a receipt, right? How they could come up with one and then the custom didn't come up with one, right? But anyway, back to that burnt. You see, because why I speak about this thing, because I'm going to show you injustice again. Not too long ago, 4 of my, not close friends, but people I know was arrested in the Pine Ridge by Chester, claiming that they were involved in landing a plane, right? Same thing, they found the pilot, and they had one disappear. Guy was 2. One, they disappeared one, and one left, right? And that's the one that is still going to court, right? And the actual Mennonite that was involved, right? But a friend of mine with 3 other guys went hunting in the Mountain Pine Ridge area, right? Where that plane had landed. But while they're coming out back from their hunting trip, they were arrested. And they had no evidence, nothing at all, that linked these 4 individuals to that plane. No evidence at all. But here you have a damn SUV loaded with fuel, right? And 2 Belizean names, but we here on the public don't know who these people are. But right away they paraded these guys that went hunting, right? And they have a right to go hunting, right? But they have found no evidence at all. None whatsoever. But as I speak, 4 years now, these individuals are still going to court. 4 years going now. 3? No, I think 3 years going now. Still going to court for something they have no knowledge about. But that's to show you how this system works. But because Mr. Williams, a friend of mine, and the government wanted to show the US that, yeah, they arrested somebody, they have to be ashamed of themselves. And I hope that when these people are vindicated, they sue the hell out of all of them, from Chester to the commissioner to the commissioner, and then the government, and every last one of them gets sued, right? But that's just to show you, right? Where same double standard, right? We talk about double standard, right? Here you have evidential material, right? But nothing happened. Nobody, they can't say who drove that damn SUV there, who it's. In fact, maybe as I speak, the damn paperwork is been disappeared as to actually own this damn vehicle, or who actually was the driver of that vehicle, or who that vehicle is registered to, right? But to show the world and the public out there that, yeah, we captured 4 hunters in the mountain Pine Ridge, right? And they're the one that landed the plane, right? That really eats me up, because why I say that, because I know for a fact that these individuals had nothing to do with the landing of that plane, right? But they were arrested coming out. And that's how it works, right? So sad. And these individuals, like I say, is still going to court as I speak. Go ahead, Leonard. You want to say something?
Yes, sir. Going back to the SUV, is it not public knowledge already, as I'm making this statement here, that SUV that you referred to in your last comment?
And hold on, not to cut you cross, that hunting trip that there people will want, why Mr. Wade did defend it? No, I was supposed to go on that trip that same day, but they came a little too early, too late then to invite me to go on that hunting trip, because I love the outdoors. I love to shoot, right?
I was going to come back to that. That was going to be my wrapping up part.
Go ahead, Leonard, sir. But I'm just for clarity, right?
I was going to come back to it, though. And just back to the point that I was trying to mention just now, that what I was about to say about the SUV that you referred to, is that not public knowledge as of today, date, right now that I'm making this statement, that vehicle had already been looked at by the customs after they first found the vehicle, and they got the 2 people that was in the vehicle with the fuel for the plane. And after customs had already looked at that vehicle, how then that vehicle wasn't protected and kept for evidence, that somehow or another they allow that vehicle to be touched by people that they're claiming that they don't know, because Mr. Commissioner jumped on the airwave like he did with the Budna case and deny that none of his police officers had anything to do with it, and they don't know how the vehicle got burned, when in fact it was under their custody. Hello? Secondly, they got the plane, they got the drugs, they got the plane drivers, they got the SUV drivers, they got the SUV, they have the plane fuel in the SUV, but now the SUV is not available. So according to them now, without that evidence of the SUV, they can just dispose of all the technical information that they recovered after dusting the SUV and picking up fingerprints and everything else that they have done. They don't have the main evidence. So the rest of the evidence could be disappeared now. Okay? And the case, when it gets to the court finally, will have to be thrown out. Why? The lack of custody of the evidence. A good lawyer typically get them off easy. And that's how we have been losing all those cases that you say we only have 3% success prosecution. Because evidence disappears. And where it disappears from? Not out of the Prime Minister's back pocket, out of the police criminal files. Hello? Just like how they had so much information initially when they made the first report, and Mr. Commissioner of Police gave the first report to the Prime Minister, which was incorrect, again, of lawful purposes, for prosecution purposes. The Prime Minister has no jurisdiction in taking control or taking possession, circumstantial evidence or any kind of evidence that relates to a prosecution. Okay, that's breaking the custody of the chain of custody that is required legally for that matter to stand up in court if it would have been taken to court. The DPP says she got less than nothing, even though the Prime Minister had enough to have been able to send the commissioner on leave.
Thank you.
It's crazy.
Thank you, Greg.
Mr. Chairman,
2 minutes. Yeah, 2 minutes.
Mr. Chairman, just to take you back down memory lane. take you back down memory lane of how you could have been a part of it. Here and Belizean affairs we always show and tell so that the people at home and abroad can see that it's not coming just from us. Here it is.
Police Corporal Eric Young and 5 other men, Miguel Angel Zetina, Edwin Armando Gonzalez, Jaime Humberto Mas, Idilberto Medrano, and Salo Spinner, were in court today on a single charge of conspiracy to land a plane without the permission of the Ministry of Aviation. The men were remanded to prison and will have to stay there at least until Friday, if bail submissions are heard. But attorney Brian Neal, who is representing Zetina, Gonzalez, Mas, and Medrano, says he will file the application as soon as possible.
We made submissions for the grant of bail. The magistrate considered the submissions and exercised her discretion to refuse bail.
And will you be seeking bail this coming Friday?
Yes, well, I don't know. It is up to the Supreme Court to determine when it will be heard, but we will put in our application for bail as early as tomorrow for my 4 clients.
But until then,
I would have been right there too, Greg. Right, and for the record, those guys there, 3 of them is my close friend. We have no connection with that Mennonite. So the way they put that news that we all, or no, we don't even know that individual, right?
Mr. Chairman, that connection is being placed under the enterprise law, which should have been done with the landing of these drug planes. Those 2 individuals that they name are not being called that have been let go should have been held under the enterprise law also. So that is what is happening.
Yeah. A little bit more on the same thing that you just mentioned, Greg. I'll add another little piece, and that is that why did they keep some of the individuals and release the other 2? Did the other 2, well, one of them who was a Mennonite, as we know, did they offer to sink the other ones then, or to speak against the other ones then? So they give them bail, and they go home, and the other ones that they will talk against when the trial time comes are kept in jail. The bottom line is that whether they were involved or not, equal justice must prevail. To your point, Greg.
Exactly.
Why did they to go and the other one's not? So under enterprise rules, all of them were supposed to be held under the same condition or released under the same condition.
Nobody went up to it, as it's been done to a grandmother, a student, find a gun in the house, nobody went up to it, everybody go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
so if that is the way it is done, the point is to be straight across the table.
Why I entertain you the thought that you projected earlier and mentioned what I had said in addition to what you had said is because there's a clear violation, constitutional violation there. Everybody under the law. Wait, just a second, sir. Everybody is equal under the law. Section 6 of the Constitution. Non-discrimination as well. Okay, they discriminated against some that they kept and others that they allowed to go free. That's discrimination as regards to the same particular case. The government is not in a position to be able to do that. That's a contravention. That's a bastardization of the law and a contravention of process, procedures, and protocols. There's no such discretion when it comes to the law. The law is black and white when it comes to that type of stuff. Everybody is either guilty of the offense or everybody is exculpated and or allowed to have their bail. You cannot be punitive to some and not to others with the same group of individuals involved with the same activity. Or it's a criminal activity. That's what they're saying, right? It's a criminal enterprise, right?
So, yeah. So for the record, on that tape there, for the record and for the public, there was no evidence No evidence at all. It was all planted. It was all, a scenario, an agenda that they had. No evidence was found in that vehicle when these guys were coming out from that hunting trip, right? Just so happened that they were in that area where they were searching and coming out. They had a roadblock and they used these guys as scapegoats, right? No evidence at all. They didn't find any petrol. They didn't find any trace of petrol. They didn't find any drugs. They didn't find the pilot with them. They didn't find the Mennonite with them. But like I say, karma is real. All these people that planted, discharges on my friends, right? At some point, they will be held accountable and they will pay. They will pay for what they have done to these individuals, right? That's all I got to say on that. And it sure is coming, right? You don't do people things like that and you think, arrest somebody and for no reason at all, and such an outrageous crime that they claim that these individuals had committed. They claim, right, with no evidence, right, and think that they are going to get away with it. I said, no, they are not going to get away with it, right? So, the injustice that you, Mr. Williams, had instructed to do to my friends, it'll come back to haunt you, my brother, right? That's all I got to say. Leonard, for your closing.
I'd like to use my closing thoughts in regards to the land issue in PG among the Mayans them, okay? And the government who has been instructed to find a way to settle this matter within the structures of governance, because we only have one government at a time, we only have one constitution at a time, but we have a diversity of ethnic people, well, not only ethnic, but a diversity of people. Let me leave it at that as a global statement. We have a diversity of people in our country, all of whom, under the same one law of the country, the same constitution, and under the one same governance, because we only have one central government also at a time. And this matter was litigated at the Caribbean Court of Justice with instructions from the court as to dealing with certain matter in a certain way expeditiously. Unfortunately, the government is not about doing things in an expeditious manner. They're snobbish, and they have been stalling and allowing this thing to metastasize to the point where people are getting hurt. Now, specifically, as regards to what we just were talking about when the show started tonight, with the gentleman, you have, okay, among the Mayan community, okay, we had the Quiche Mayans who came from Guatemala when the Guatemalan government was slaughtering them, 300,000 of those people, okay, just to take possession of their lands. Many of them came across to Belize and was given refuge. And that's many years ago, okay? That's like, we're talking about 40, 50 years ago, okay? And the end result now is that they're actually like Belizeans. They basically have been living among us for all that period of time. They have kids that born and grew up there. They probably have, the older parents have grandkids by now, or probably or more, or great grands. So for all intents and purposes, they have become part of our community. But they have a different mindset and mentality than the local Mayans in Belize, who you'd call the Cholos. The Cholos Mayans from PG area. The Cholos cover a part of Guatemala in the Petén area, and they cover a part of the Mayans in the Coban area, as well as a part of the Mayans in the Belize, Toledo district, and others. Those are what we normally would have called our Mayans, or our local Mayans, who have coexisted with us for From the time we got there, in fact, they were there before we got there. So you could say safely about 300 years and a little bit more, as a matter of fact. The problem is that the new Mayans that came across from Guatemala, they were bellicose people who had been under a lot of military occupation and strife. And they have a mindset of don't taking too much nonsense, for granted, or they don't play nice, in other words. And our local Belizean Mayans, the Belizean people have not had any problem with them, and they were a little bit more reserved or more laid back. But these are the new people that came into the country. They are used to fighting for what they want, or what they think they deserve, or what they think is theirs. And having occupied some of those lands in Belize that used to be private lands or crown lands, and or some of them used to live among their all local Belizean Mayans, intermarriage, and the whole whatever. The bottom line is that when the Belize government have problems with the local Mayans and or with any of the Mayans in that area because of this land issue, that they want the Belize government to take back those lands from the people that own them right now, okay, whether privately owned or on lease, they want the government to acquire them if they even have to buy it or take it back and give it to them locally. But the people who are pushing that agenda are not the local Belizean Mayan, who have been saying in public that they are not subscribing to that agenda. It is the Mayans that came across that they gave refuge to that are now empowered and try to, under the directions of the CCJ ruling, they are now trying to demand that the government of Belize allow them to balkanize Belize and allow them to have a country within a country. And they are not willing to live and let live. And like I said, they come from a historically different state of mind and behavior, and they're more aggressive. So now, some of them are having problems with some of the local Belizeans, and they want to take onto themselves and use might to make right. Because the government is taking forever to resolve this issue, they are getting fed up and they want to go ahead and they are trying to take other people's private land and parcel it among themselves and doing a whole lot of different things that most Belizeans are not aware of because the matter is being dealt with within communities. It's a long story. I'm not going to take much more of the time because we're beyond our time already. It's unfortunate, though, that the end result is that the whole country is getting smeared in a negative perspective. That is to say that we, the Belizean people, are mistreating the Mayans, when in fact that's not the case. There's a problem among the Mayans because you have the Quiche Mayans, like I said, and who are the bellicose ones, them that came across from Guatemala, and you have our own local Mayans with whom we have been coexisting for over 300 years without any issues or problems. And that's going to have to be solved, but it's all in because of what happened to one of the alcaldes, right?
Yeah, thank you. I went to school with the Mayans too, Leonard.
Yes, sir.
I went to school with them. So I know their lifestyle. I know Mayans and the Quechua. I schooled with them down south. I am from the deep south. I was born in the deep south. It's a shame to see what's going on down there right now.
So what's going on now?
Yes, Greg?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. What I would say on that is I will get rid of all Johnny come lately. I am quite sure that you have seen people living down there in all that areas, and they know exactly who has been around for quite some years. So all who is Johnny come lately would have to roll over and let what has to be done be done. I'm
Greg,
saying this because
on the back of we exercise book. Remember, we used to when I go to school, we used to have what they call exercise book. We used to have the map of Belize on the back of that. They only have to grab one of those, look at it, and they will see how many villages used to exist in those days back in 50, 60 years ago. And you could probably number those villages on your two hands, okay? As compared to right now where you have almost 100 different villages, and since they know that the land has to be shared out and they're going to give them additional land more than their villages, they're going to spread out beyond. Everybody's creating a village so that they can have expanded land beyond those new villages as well, and that's the problem we're dealing with.
Thank you.
I yield back, Mr.
Go ahead, Greg.
As I was saying, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, that is the way I would handle it.
Thank you.
Because you, as government, messed up totally when you started to recognize Mennonite rights to land that they run as a city within a city. So this is what is happening. With that said, sir, I will yield. But before I yield, I would want more pharmacists come forward and do this as this young man is doing.
Hi everybody, Romario Roberto Maldonado here, your pharmacist and owner of Roberto's Pharmacy. Now, a lot has been said on the topic of contraceptives, and I know that you've been wondering why we have been so quiet. Well, we understand Ministries of Health's guidance and protocols to ensure a proper quality and control of these medications. We also understand our Belizean women. We understand how socioeconomic factors play a role. We also understand of the lack of time that sometimes women can have. Not to mention the right they have to purchase their contraceptives with a bit of more discretion. We also understand how women might feel about purchasing their contraceptives for a long time and suddenly being asked for a doctor's prescription. Hence the reason why we have taken matters into our own hands. We are encouraging any Belizean woman that needs their contraceptive to kindly visit us, as we are working hand in hand with doctors to ensure that we obtain their prescription and to ensure that they can purchase their contraceptives with us. These doctors are free of charge, of course, as we are working with them hand in hand and as they understand the person's situation. Again, we're encouraging any Belizean women to stop by Roberto's Pharmacy in order to get their contraceptives without the hassle of presently going to a doctor's consultation room, as we are working hand in hand with doctors in order to ensure.
I would wish more pharmacists do that, so they don't have to go and pay to any side.
If the government
will get that walk-in consultation, because what that would do is tap in the private public, the private section of any side to gobble up the private citizen money for keep going back for consultation. I go back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
thank you very much.
I know we're far beyond the
yes. But you want to say something?
Before we close out.
Go ahead.
As regards to the same medical issue, as I stipulated, I think that 2 times now, this will be probably the 3rd time that we are speaking to this matter. And as I stipulated in my previous 2 occasions, the government should not be doing anything that contravenes people's basic civil rights. They are precluded from doing so. And they should not be attempting to do so under the guise that they, as the government, have the right and authority and power behind them to violate people's constitutional right, violate the Constitution, in order for them to so-called look good, trying to do something that they are being pressured to do by religious organizations. That's not what the government power is supposed to be about. To cater to religious organizations in terms of trying to muzzle the people into doing what they want to have done, because we are not a theocracy. We are a democracy. And the people of the country have the right to vote for what they want. Put it to a vote if that's really what they want to do. But they can't assume unto themselves powers that is not vested in them to just go out there and make a law to say, you have to comply with this law that is in violation of your rights. It doesn't work. That's not the way it's supposed to work. But that's how they are trying to make it work. And that's illegal, unlawful, and unconstitutional. And I don't know if I got to revisit it for a 4th time in order to, bring the Constitution forward in terms of those issues. But as of tonight, we covered quite a few subject matters, and we are far beyond our time, and therefore I'll just
Thank you.
back
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman for the wrapping up.
Thank you, Leonard. Thank you, Greg. It's always a pleasure to, you know, to sit with you guys and for you to, show and tell from their own mouth, so that, people that watch us and will watch us later can't say that, hey, we just talking because, we have a mouth. No, we point out and we show, right? And
And
we are about.
contextualize.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we're about, our people, and we're about our nation. We want to see good for our people. We want to see good for our nation, right? We are not here to back down on everything. No, but if it's wrong, we'll say it's wrong, right? And we will offer solutions, right? And here we try to educate the public, some things that they might know or some things that they do not know. But right here on our Belizean Affairs show, we try to educate our Belizean people, man, both at home and abroad. We'll continue to do that. On that note, again, Leonard, it's always a pleasure. And for those who are watching us and who will watch us a little later, thank you very much. And thanks for always, your support in sharing. Thank you very much for, being here with us and supporting us. Thank you. And I say good night, Greg.
Okay, gentlemen, you ready? 1, 2, 3.